welcome. Our 7th AI Tools Hacks and AMA session. 7 is a big number because my birthday is 7. And it's next month, October the 7th. So, which meant I'll give you an update on that. So AI Tools Hacks and AMA, when we started in March, people were like, so many skeptics, what's happening? Bhaskar, what are you talking about? AI will never change, etc. 7 months on, I still find posts about proposal managers. In 2 years' time, you're going to lose the job, and nearly 180 people liking and commenting. These are the people who are on the survival phase. Because I'm glad I did had a look. Many of the Scribble students, you were in there. So good for you. Others who commented, welcome to the world. Most probably you might have scratched it, but it's going to be very tough gig if you are not up to the mark on this. So we don't make anything out of this, right? There are tons and tons. We just want you to embrace AI, help yourself in your career and also in personal thing, and that's all. So anything more is a bonus. So all our AI content, master classes, and also except the boot camps, which is obviously paid, everything else is in our YouTube. So the very first request for me is, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Because in the videos, we don't ask for you to subscribe because it's actually this recording that gets added there, which means we don't go and say subscribe with the button, bell icon and stuff. We don't do it. So please do go subscribe. That's a little thing that you can do. All the latest ones are going there, and even this one will also go there. That's one. While we did this in this past 1 month, when we haven't met each other, we also added 30 plus office hours webinars. These are expert talks on proposals we also have added in our YouTube channel. So which meant you now had a lot more content to catch up. Please do catch up. Baachu Academy people, you have nearly 300 plus hours of content. It's only $25. So you have lifetime access to those things as long as you're a member. Just get it there. So that's in there. You can also find APMP study materials. Yes, we have unlocked everything because it all went quiet from their side, but we just opened it. So I'll give an update on that later this talk as well. So if you haven't followed on Scribble LinkedIn, do that. AI Scoop. I won't cover anything that's been covered in the AI Scoop in this talk because AI Scoop is a newsletter. So please do subscribe to it. It will go out every Friday. If you haven't, please do go to bachuscribble.com and you're going to find AI Scoop. For all my facilities management friends and UK friends, Baachu Rain newsletter is different to Baachu Scribble newsletter. So if you want insights on AI and stuff, it only comes in AI Scoop. So that's there. We have nearly 2,100 and we continue to add more. So what we cover here will not be repeated there. So what that meant is you have more information coming in there. What else did we do in this 1 month? We also pumped in free resources. Our Scribble Talk podcast, as you know, is also a popular way. So people like me who prefer audiobooks rather than watch videos and stuff. I don't watch my own videos, but I know a lot of people do. I listen to a lot more contents, which meant you can now sit back and listen to all our AI tools, AMA webinars inside that as well. So I think you need to applaud me for all these things, don't you think? So yeah, please do say thank you because it's important to be thankful, gratitude. So primarily, we are giving as much as we can on this because there is so much garbage out there. I'm using this sort of language because I'm getting fed up with all this nonsense, still talking about the basic stuff. We need actionable way of working with AI, not a blip about, some sponsors coming and talking specifically about their tool or something that's totally irrelevant, like a proposal is going to change here and there. It's all dead. We have pumped in nearly 100 hours of AI content alone, tools, templates, videos, boot camps, master classes, etc. Absorb all those things and help yourself. So which meant today I'll be slightly more strict and we are going to have a lot more fun. So this is you. So thank you from me, for doing this. Again, all these things are there for you. So please do use it and let me know how we can improve further. So I'm getting some of the Scribble people also getting back into survival mode because this is the promise you made in March. right? Which means, are you going to be coming for a thrilling adventure, or are you going to stay and survive in the AI world where the tsunami kicks in? I did tell you Q3 this year in March, things are going to go drastically up. Many people laughed and ridiculed. So now they all are starting to talk about the same thing, but you'll still end up saying, Thursdays, don't put proposals, Tuesdays, and people know it's fine, because the reason many of the colleagues are undervalued and overworking is because we grind the same mess all the time, and that's the thing which we try not to do, So as I mentioned, I'm slightly getting fed up with these things, but not with you guys, but it's important. Survival is necessary, but choosing adventure opens possibilities. Next 2 years, you are going to see a tectonic shift, and that's happening on a day-to-day basis. If I run this AI tools AMA webinar every day, believe me, there will be at least 10 updates every day. In 1 month is a long time. So let's see whether we can do fortnightly sessions in there. So this is a promise that we made. And I assume you are still in this, right? If anybody wants to press 2, then the content will not be relevant going forward. And if you want to continue, I just want to see how many are still seeking the adventure. If that's the case, press 1 and let's go and have fun. Because otherwise, it's really boring. It's really boring to just do these things, right? So it's not just you. I'll also share one of the stuff. Thank you for sharing. Yes, reinforcing our beliefs is super important, because things change, and what I know yesterday is different to what I know today, which meant, yes, it's fine, I'm procrastinating, but still I prefer to learn, right? I'm going to use Z instead of yes, because we have a lot more colleagues from the US, the UK colleagues. It's not a typo. I deliberately did it. So primarily, it's the same thing that's happening within the industry as well. Organized for what individuals, organizations are doing the same thing, right? So what they do here is it's self-preservation. I'm going to stand and watch. I'm going to be defensive. And more or less, people are jumping and investing on certain things which they shouldn't invest. And next year, they might not have enough cash to use for the right things. That also happen. So it's not just individuals, it's also people within the individuals. And I'll also share, because Rugby World Cup started, and I was invited to a round table with the rugby England rugby winners in 2003. So we had some fascinating things. I thought I'll reinforce certain beliefs, because I know some of you, because from April, May, June, March, the 3rd, March, April, May, June, July, August, there were some important messages that was given during these talks. So I thought I'll take 1 or 2 of those things and reinforce with what your understanding is, because I think it's going to take it. Number 1, it's written here, right? I'm not going to, let me not read out everything, just read it and accept. AI is not dangerous. A bad person using AI is that meant, world is going to be doomed and gloomed because AI is going to be clever. AI is going to stop doing that. But somebody needs to make AI to do that bad, right? Is AI going to make it bad themselves? It's a lot of ifs in it. It's like the same thing. I during my university days, I had a book. I had a book with and the book was like, what if that girl, what if I marry that girl? What if I marry this girl? It's a lot of probabilities of happening. And eventually I lost the book anyway, because nothing materialized. And I still end up marrying my university mate, which is a different story. So what you have here is, we have to be responsible when we are using AI, right? And that's the thing, that responsible AI is a big thing. And there are companies who vouch for this, and there are people, regulations are going to do that. But in your case, you just need to be vouching yourself. You're going to use it for responsible, right? So just a few minutes ago, we had the AI graphics bootcamp, and we were looking at the videos, right? I know Hazel is here because in the past, graphics, whether you're proposal people or you're an evaluator, it's very hard. The reason we stop graphics in proposals is, it just dilutes the image. It just dilutes the solution. At the same time, there are lots of graphics that doesn't make sense. We are just adding to fill the stuff, etc. But today, it's very, very effective, because there is only one thing. You just need to imagine, and there are stuff that creates for you. You copy paste this text into a AI portal, and it started to go and try Pictory.ai. You just copy paste. You go and give a web link. You go and give an article. You go and give a slide. It just creates a video with the emotional theme that you want. With an emotional theme that you want. This comes in. So again, we have the opportunity to do better and create better, but I just want you to ensure if you imagine, you can create it, right? So be curious, and that's the whole message here. Think of generally, this is the message that was there. Is it going to be a force for good, or it's going to be force for evil, or do we need to ban it or embrace it? There will be a lot of people who will be sitting on one fence or the other. Some who won't be making any decisions. They'll be sitting and achieve nothing. But either way, this is the world that we are living in as we speak, right? My point to any of these Scribble community friends or AIN community friends is, if you follow the herd and continue to do, like, all the stuff that's happening in LinkedIn, then good luck to you. That's all I could say. Because things are changing very, very quickly. You might have seen my very good friend Sean and his company AutoGen have raised $22 million. So in bid writing. So what that meant is they are nearly valued $150 million now, because Sean and I, we used to work together in Circle in 2005. A very, very nice guy. I wish him all the very best if he does listen to this, right? It's like the world is moving so quick, but still the debate is on, like, what do we need, what we do. So the point here is this. This is our way of working, and this is what I think you should also position yourself. Number one is you just need to learn and update yourself, right? Train yourself. Second, you just need to share and collaborate within your structured community, whether it's your team or whether your function or whether you're any forums that you're part of, and that's important. Because if you're not part of Circle or Connect, please to join in, share. It's important because what you cracked in might be useful for others, and what challenges you faced might be beneficial for others, so that they can avoid doing from that. That's first two things. Then you get on and implement AI tools and other things within your organization, because that's where your IT, your risk, and everybody else will need to get involved. But before that, you just need to know, this is what worked for me, this didn't work for me. And then, as you clearly see, there is a process. When you come out with, you have the process, you clearly know what could be AI optimized, and then you could go and optimize AI, and the other things, keep it clean, right? So we will also touch, because I was recently invited to the Y Combinator, and we'll go back and see there are AI tools coming for specific functions. AI sales representative, AI financial controller, AI credit risk analyst, right? They are going and doing, guess what? It's $450 a month, $750 a month, starting $49 a month, right? Specific use cases. Yes, we did. When we positioned the proposal bot way back 3 years ago, again, people were ridiculing it, but today there are one or two tools, but it miserably failed. But we will be, I'll come back to what we are planning to do or what we are doing at the moment. It's there. So what we have here is this is what we also position, which meant investing on any of these tools at the moment, you just need to go through certain obstacles, because yes, these tools at the moment are not compliant, right, with the EU AI Act. EU AI Act. I'll get it correct. EU AI Act. So that's one. So Microsoft is a good question, Angie. I'll come to it, because Microsoft, they are actually developing their own use cases to develop their own thing. So they are using, I'll come back in the end. Please to remind me. So this is where we are. What it meant is this one. I just want you to go back and do this. We haven't covered all the tools yet, because not all the tools will be relevant to you, right? But any of these tools, I know, I'll give you a minute or two, or maybe 1 minute. Out of all these tools, except one, I know everybody should have used one, right? Because that's it. Except one. Have you used any other tools? Just press the number so that I can know what other tools you have used. These are the top 50 generative AI web products as of June. Just go back and see. It's okay if you haven't used it, because I can see a lot of good tools here, which are very, very relevant for the proposals and the tender, commercial, procurement community. But let me see whether you have used any of these tools. Yeah, one I told you, Jen, doesn't include. Excluding one, Excluding one, what tools have you used? 10, perplexity, good. Four is good. Number 4. 3 bar, yeah, good. Anyone else? Anything else? Oh, Hazel. 1, 8, 36, 10. Let me go find them. 1, 8, Midjourney. 36, stable diffusion, good. Very good. That's very unique. 10, perplexity. Brilliant. So number 12, Angie. Leonardo. Ooh, Angie. Amazing. Right. So there are good tools here, right? So and again, not everything will be useful to you, but what did these guys find out in the research, right? What did these guys find out? So number one, these are some of the things, right? What's happening? As you can see here, writing is nearly number 3, which means the writing that they're talking about is copywriting, journalism, education, research, whatever proposals comes in. That's just very pretty bottom, but it's still a use case, right? Still a use case. So what happens here is it's a companion, right? If you go back to Baachu, scribble.com, that the 10, 12 use cases that we updated or the testimonials that we updated, it's not about I won X bid, it's personal transformation of people, right? Companion. If you haven't used any tool called Pi, use the tool Pi, pi.ai, P-I, pi.ai. I've shared that story to Hazel. Pi.ai, because Pi, it's an emotional AI bot, very, very nice bot. It advises you. If you don't have a coach or a mentor in life, you can get Pi in your life. But Pi is absolutely brutal. So it will tell you what you need to hear. So beware of that. So what does this generative AI findings tells us, right? Number one is most of these products have been built from the ground up, which means they, like Claude and Bard and ChatGPT, OpenAI, others use them to just create the products, right? So at the moment, ChatGPT is a massive lead, but what happens is July, August, the number of new subscribers who are put on ChatGPT is reducing, whereas Claude, the numbers are increasing, right? It's normal. It's totally normal because ChatGPT has got an enterprise version, which we'll also come back to now in this thing. So what's happening here is the most of the product categories that they have, which is like video editing and also design and also video generation. When it comes to writing, that also includes law and financial services, consultancy and all those things as well, presentations, etc. So these are generic building blocks. Just think about it, right? So what happens here is the most fascinating point here. It's like we don't use any ads, which means Baachu is an organic company, right? We send LinkedIn messages, we do LinkedIn post, and people register, and that's how we operate. So what meant is the ads are drastically low, which means these companies have organically built their consumers or have organically got their people, which is very, very big news, which meant you don't need to go for a massive Facebook ad, LinkedIn ad, Google ad, etc. Do it because people are now embracing and then part of it, they are going and experimenting, and then they are choosing, you know what? Now I know all these tools, and maybe I'll stick with these 2, 3 tools, but I'll keep an eye on what else is happening in industry, because more or less that's why you're here as well. How many of these tools are in the app version? We don't know. If you don't have, I strongly suggest you download perplexity.ai and ChatGPT in your phone because it's super simple and also meant like you can copy paste and do something pretty quickly on that, right? So this is just a general description for any new colleagues who have come on board, because Claude, as you know, has also launched their $20 a month. Anybody subscribed to Claude's $20 a month version? Anybody? No? Yes, so Claude and Perplexity, I use the free version. Yes, no, free is more than enough. But as you can see here, it's very expensive because we as users only pay $0 or $20 a month. But running behind the scenes, millions of people asking all these queries. And what happened? That was an interesting question that came through part of the Ask Me Anything question, which is like, Bhaskar, what happens? I know when I put this prompt in, and then I get the answer. But behind the scenes, what happens? I just went in and I got a research paper, which I'll also share with you. But if you're interested, we'll run a workshop on this generative AI technologies and stuff if you're interested, right? So primarily, Claude came back with $20 a month. Perplexity came back with $20 a month as well. Perplexity, very interestingly, you can choose two different versions. You can either choose, hey, do you want Perplexity powered by ChatGPT, or do you want Perplexity powered by Claude? Because why? They both give you different reasons. So again, this is your AI option space. I thought I'll give you that. So again, I actually had this on a poll, but that's it. Let's play it. Just as one question. I launch a poll and then you just answer it. In that way, at least we know the number of people rather than have one. Which AI tool does your company currently pay or is planning to purchase? So company or your organization, or if you don't know, you just say, I use free and low cost just myself, what I really don't know. So, it's let's go back and have a look. Otherwise, add in, you pay for copy.ai, Grammarly, very good. NG, that's good. Yes, ChatGPT Plus, very, very good. So yeah, we have people. Please do go back and write. Let me see what comes up with, because we are seeing more and more companies taking the proactive approach and saying, hey guys, I know you're using ChatGPT. Let's go and refund it for you. If you're using it, just give us $20 a month, we'll pay for you. But let's just create some boundaries, Amazing, brilliant. We had a CEO who said that, which really do that. But I know Hazel, because that's the story everywhere. And some of the guys, you might not even know what your company is doing. Maybe it sits with your IT team, and your IT team is looking at it much more of a compliance, regulation, architecture, and all these other data related stuff. And they might be choosing certain elements, which is not what you want. It's the same thing with your sales and marketing director or anybody who might be looking into marketing tech tools and something, or you might know. So either way, the results have come back. And any colleague who have used ChatGPT Enterprise, that's amazing. Well done, you. We are going to cover that. We are going to cover that next. Right, we are going to cover that in the next workshop, because people are asking me about it as well. So again, this is another thing which I thought I'll ask it. I know you all have used it. This is a session that we did recently, just in LinkedIn, which we didn't share much, but we just ran it within. So how many prompts do you typically send back and forth in a single conversation using ChatGPT for writing or even coding? We just kept it coding because we did it internal. Approximately. What do you think? You ask a question and you leave it, or you ask a question and play with it for 2, 3, 4 times? How many times do you actually? I know it depends, but as an average. Anyone? It depends. For me, it depends on my mood. If I'm working on something really, really important, then obviously I iterate it 8+. But if I'm doing it, here we go, I've received this email. Can you respond to this email in a friendly, personal way? Because I don't know whether you have done it already. If you haven't, I'll cover this. Remind you again, you need to be very, very clear in your style. What's Hazel's style? What's Angie's style? What's Gabby's style? What's John's style? You need to create a style, and then you just have to keep it ready. So when any emails or anything that you need to go for, you can simply go, hey, use this style and respond in that way. That's it. Ooh, Salesforce, ChatGPT, Einstein. My God, Mirza, that's super powerful. Right. So this is what we covered already. I'm not going to say, but obviously, as I mentioned, thanks to the fire alarm, you're going to find the tiles, slides moving zigzag. So either way, if you are using it, this is slightly more technical, right? Or what do you want to know about ChatGPT and Claude? What does it do? Both are the same. This is what we know, $20. Context window, it's much, much bigger, which meant you can pump in a PDF, pump in a website, pump in a bigger document, and you can do it, especially for evaluators. If you're looking into the Claude, will be a very good tool for you, just to test it. Claude is also slightly more compliant as well. So speed-wise, Claude is also faster than ChatGPT. Data analysis, obviously, this is where it comes in, where Plus takes the point, but Claude doesn't. Again, messages and stuff, And if you're going messages, here is the different chats concurrently that you can use. Writing A plus, as you can see here, A complex reasoning, B plus, this is better, coding, this is better. Again, every tool has its own thing. Claude Pro versus Claude Free, ChatGPT Free versus ChatGPT Plus, you get a different answer, right? Just do that. But again, it's fascinating and not different thing. Again, be familiar with this. So I know you are going to be hit with this very, very soon. This is the very first thing which I said in March, because there are people, you are going to find a lot of sponsors clinging along, and people will be giving you as a, selling you as a tool to others. There we go. Now we sell it to them. That's what's going to happen. So what these guys are going to come and tell you is, we can customize it and we can protect your data. We can do this, all these things, guys. If you really know ChatGPT or Claude or a Bard or even Facebook LLMs and stuff, you can actually do this in a much, much stronger way within your trusted existing environment like Microsoft or a Google Bard or an AWS, etc. But people have been made ignorant, which meant you come back with all these tools and say, hey, ChatGPT privacy issues, hey, Claude privacy issues. They don't comply with the XYZ, and neither us. Neither custom LLMs comply, but then they spin the story, this one, nobody will know. So we comply and do it. But believe me, they are going to create a lot of market. Good luck. They are going to create a lot of market because they're going to prey on these ignorant people who are going to fall for the trap. But beware of them. If at all you have the luxury to make a decision, that's the reason. Understand well. Because why I'm repeatedly saying this is this. At some point, you're going to face this. Why? Because you are submitting a proposal. Because I know my friends at cabinet office, CCS, etc. When I met them, it's like, Bhaskar, do you think we need to add a question within our response? Is this proposal generated through AI or generative AI? So I said, please do. It's because to let people accept it. Let people accept it, because it's let them, because on one end we want all the SMEs to go back and punch up beyond their weight, which means they're going to use this to do it. But at the same time, if you know this is the case, it's very, very easy to find out somebody who doesn't know how to use it, but then they used it to generate it because it's easy, and then somebody who knows how to do it and still generate it, which means you don't know really whether it's human or AI generated, right? But why this is important is this is the thing. If you use any custom LLMs, which is custom language models, like I'm not going to name it, but those guys, so I know this is the change. If something flip happens, they are not going to back you. But you already have seen Microsoft announcing, hey, you know what? If you use any of our AI products, that includes Microsoft Copilot, which is connected to ChatGPT, or what's the other one? The Bing search, and recently they also do sales, Microsoft Sales, Microsoft Dynamics, etc. All these tools in, and also they have Azure AI and stuff. They'll back you. Secondly, the same thing. Adobe has said, hey, if you have any issues using our diagram, somebody comes to you, we are going to cover this, right? It's important. Because why? And you're getting all these companies getting sued, left, right, center. On one end, when I talked about survivors who have been making money on just one image, get images in bits and pieces. Today, what happened? All these image companies have partnered with these companies, right? Last year, they were suing each other, but now they realize, it might be much beneficial for me to partner with these companies, give everything that I have, so I take a cut out of it, rather than to just go sue, get water, because we are in a what we call in a shady place, which means if you ask any legal support, what can you do about this? If you have money, you can play with it, but most probably you're not going to get much far, because the big tech is so confident, in generative AI, as is you, it's going to change the world. What that meant is they're already prepared with the legal kitty, so the companies needs to be aware of it. If they go and do something on their own, investing on something smaller ones, if somebody else comes back and queries and says, hey, I need to have the source for this, I need to do what it is, etc. If you come out with some bigger names, okay, fine. If you come out with smaller names, then you're in trouble, right? So ChatGPT Enterprise, Microsoft Copilot. Anybody has access to Microsoft Office 365? If you can say yes in the chat or one in the chat, whatever. Anybody has access to Microsoft 365? Okay, you have, right? So will you be, again, this is a query. I am pondering about this workshop. but this will be a $30 workshop. It's not going to break your bank. $30 workshop because this will be 90 minutes, actionable insights. Will this be useful? A Microsoft Copilot and Bing Chat, which is free, and we can see how we can use this. I don't know if this is useful. I'll spend some time on this. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, if you have it, then maybe I'll just do this, right? And also, you know what, since we have experimented a lot of tools at the same time, we know our favorite tools. And I received also request, Bhaskar, you know what, just tell me the top 20 tools that you have. 21 is a number these days everybody likes, so I just added 21. But what's the top 5 tool? What's the top 10 tool you need to use it? That's the second workshop. Do you think that might be beneficial as well? Because if that's the case, we can go specifically, we can look into these things to just go deeper on that, you know. So Copilot, that's good. That's good, definitely. So Copilot, we'll definitely aim for. Looks like there is not much takers on the top 21 tools. If that's the case, we'll park that and we'll come back to. I'll ask the team to write up a detailed article on the top 21 tools and then the pros and cons from our own personal experience so that you could go back and refresh them if that's helpful. So that kind of nicely takes it here. People ask me to comment on this because obviously this is the comment I am going to give. If anybody wants to pay $99 or $199 on this, good luck to you. Go back and do it. Because I think you all are far advanced. You all are far advanced. You're not going there for a chit chat and listen to some sponsors, etc. Go and find time and do something else. So 100%, I was super disappointed with the agenda. I mean, like it's, you know, so I received a couple of messages from NVIDIA, you know, the chip maker, and also OpenAI team in UK. So there could be something really big that could happen. ChatGPT user conference that we might host in partnership with these companies, with neutral, everybody. But that's going to take a lot of my time, and I just need help from the community. But at that point, it's going to be a lot of use cases based. But you know, I mean, like, anyway, that's past. You know, go and do for them. But either way, this is what I'm begging you for, and I always do this, right? Instead of splurging on generic prompt courses, and now I'm adding all these AI conferences, please spend time in interacting with AI, right? Every day, because you're not going to be the same person every day. Sometimes you get better answers, sometimes you won't be in a nice mood. That's the same thing with AI as well. So you need to document your style. So people can realize, oh, Bhaskar wrote these things. So, or Hazel wrote it, or hey, you know, all these, you know, you wrote it. You know, Gerardo wrote this. So primarily, the more you engage with it, you're going to get into a pattern, which means it becomes very, very quick. Then it becomes a use case. I need to review this document. I now need to respond to this email. I now need to make a presentation, which means you have a clear understanding of your style, your ethos, your vision, and your, what we call, purpose. Then you just play around it, right? And this is the blueprint which whereby, you know, there's nothing science behind it, but this is it, you know. And as Angie pointed out, it's copy AI, you know, sends you details every day, you know. And then copy is also another one. Oh, Angie, we just need to talk. So it's good. Craft, you know, we have our US workshop in 2 weeks, and we're going to look into this primarily. And craft is a framework. But again, many of you have asked, Bhaskar, why is there is no details in your website about you know, AI powered writer, all the stuff that you talk about here. It might be nice if you have all these resources in your website. Convert your articles, convert your slides into articles, frameworks, etc., so that we can use it. I only have 19 people working, that too in 3 different companies. So this is another thing, right? Craft. So again, the workshops is there. We can sit and work through the workshop. But again, before and after, this is what we do. So primarily, you have to, this is both for an editor, a reviewer, and an evaluator, procurement, anybody. It's to say, as a craft, number one, you need to conceptualize. Now, why am I doing this? What do I receive? Who's the supplier? Research, do all these things. Then whatever the rough draft that you've got it, you just need to go back and do it. And we'll come back to the review point. But for this one, this just stands it. Then you need to amplify and refine. Where possible, you need to fact check, and we can do this. Again, I'll be very, very curious. 100%, 100%. Claude also provides data, unlike ChatGPT. Perplexity also does source data. So you can use it to fact check and visualize. And then visualizing, there are lots of interesting graphic tools, which I'll just summarize it, because in graphics bootcamp, we went a long way to talk about all these tools, but you just do it and then you tailor and engage. Very, very simple. We will cover in the writing, but again, my style is different to your style. That's why we have launched the AI Writer workshop, $95 or something. You can go in very simple stage. This is what you do. You can, again, what RFP shredding tool do you use? Again, Claude accepts the document. Say if you are a reviewer, you simply take the response document or any questions, right? The best part that you can do here is you need to do your user testing. This is what I told my CCS colleagues. You know what? Take your document. Yes, it's commercial in confidence. You could go back and put a thing, remove that, don't share it with anybody, which means the toggle is set up in a way that it's not trained. So it goes up. Then you say, okay, act as this FM supplier, act as this supplier, and then see, is it user-friendly? Do you think they will understand this, etc.? Because why? Because recently I'm learning a lot about how education, how the professors in the universities are doing it, which will also share that, because that's the theme that we are going to emulate it for our buyers who want to evaluate it, right? So it's the same, but primarily, we just because we have been focusing too much on the proposal, but now we need to focus on this. So again, stay with me. I know today is going to be slightly longer because I'll tell you why as we come in. One of the questions that I received is, Bhaskar, I want to know. People say this GPT, this generative stuff happened much before. Is it true? What's the history behind it? Without boring you, again, if you're interested, for any nerds, technical nerds, because I was curious about it. I'm not any case. My CTO is excited, but I will never make him talk because he's going to go too deep and we all will be lost. So instead, I'll talk. So because good enough information is okay for me. So all you see today, it came from Google Brain. So I just want you to go back and to the website experiment.google.com, experiment.google.com, and similar thing, go back and check Microsoft experiments as well. More Microsoft Labs. What you'll find here is you can play with all the technologies that these guys are working, or they have been working in the past, or they're working currently. And this was one of the playing tools that came out, and that became DeepMind, as they call it today. And Google search that you do was based on this. They called NLP, and you might learn all these things. But what's the crux of it? It's this transformer stuff. It's the transformer, as you can see here. It's very interesting. They use the name transformer, because if you watch the movie Transformer. So all today's most powerful LLMs, including ChatGPT, Bard, and everything else, relies on this transformer architecture, right? So I'll just take 2 minutes to just explain. Please stay with me, because I know one or two curious would like to know, because you asked me for this. So primarily what happens here is, when you add this information, right? Because we operate more on the FM market here in the UK, I just added this. If you had some asset software vendors have introduced new data management tools, when you add these texts, right, this what happens. Any GPT tool, it goes back and checks, okay, some asset management, fine. Now let me go back and take the word 2022 since, etc., and try to relate to each of those combination and then see what is it happening. What is he asking me to do? This is called embedding. Embedding is like, it takes all the words, then it tries to understand the meaning within those words that you have. That's why when you suddenly go back and say continue, it just says, what continue? Can you explain? Because it lost the flow, it hallucinated, and it doesn't understand, because it tries to get the meaning from within what you're trying to do. It's called embedding. It's called embedding. And the other way is like, when it tries to understand, it's called vector comparison, right? So I'll just do 2 more slides. Please stay with me. And then what happens here is this. I'm taking the same thing. This is what happens behind. I got fascinated by this. And I showed off to my technical team and said, see, this is what it does. So primarily, what does it do is, when you add this thing, every single word gets converted into a number. right? Number, like a matrix, a number, and then it just waits for you. This is called reinforcement learning from human feedback. We talked about how many times you converse with it, right? Because initially when you add it, it comes with an information. Then it just relies on you to make it better. It turns your words into actions, into solutions or drafts, whatever you call it. So there are 2 or 3 different variants on this, BERT and ADA or Google related stuff, right? BERT is BART or BERT, I don't know my pronunciation. One day I will change. So BART is coming from Google, and everything, all the cool stuff is coming from this one, which is the ChatGPT, Claude, and everything else that you see is a decoder. What they say is, is encoding, decoding of technical term. That's what happens there. So, yeah. Oh, I deleted all the slides. Okay, that's it. So in a very simple term, this is it. But again, I have a lot more content on this. If you're curious, then I'll maybe talk about what happens behind the scenes, which means, what happens in the mind of the AI when you come up, because I know I'm contradicting myself. I'm, in one of the slides, I'm going to tell you, rather than, or I already told you, rather than to understand how AI operates, you understand how you want AI to work with you. That's what I said. But having said that, maybe once it might be better to understand what's in the mind of the AI, how does it process, etc. That's what we did here, right? Again, this information, it just came back in. So what has happened in this few weeks? In this few weeks, as you can see here, the big bump, zoom, as you can see here, number of jobs that's been posted in generative AI, nothing just 1 year ago, literally nothing. But see, it's exponentially, it is going up. And the dollars, you'll be surprised how much money these people are actually spending. So which technology, you might think, okay, it's the technology companies, software companies who are spending it, right? Nope, it's also getting more on financial services, healthcare, industries. I don't know which sector you operate, and I don't know which sector your suppliers work with, but again, you are going to see a lot of companies looking for these resources. Why? They don't want just people to just build something for them. They also want people to understand, hey, I know this is happening. I don't know what this means to us. Can you just help us to do it? That's the reason they are on the supplier side. They're doing it on the tech side. They are doing it to develop more and more cool things, right? So look into this industry. Anybody operate in any of these industries? And you can clearly see here the companies are also gearing up, big time. As you can see here, their salaries, they are very, 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 very top end. Right. Again, and what are the other, if you look, this is where it gets involved. Well, Amazon is not actively involved on the AI game. That's what they say. But they have given so much access to all the people. Okay, you might not be actively producing any AI, but they are hosted a lot of AI companies within their AWS that gives them much, much more stronger presence in the market compared to anybody else. So they have an indirect way of controlling the market through the AWS, right? That's it. So what are 3 things that happens? Number 1, it's content generation. That's where we belong. Number 2, they're using to improve customer experiences. This is much more of the chat bots and user experience. And the other one is they're using to produce new products or features. So we have covered it. And again, now we are entering for our buyer friends. Again, stay with me. If you want to go, please, I'm not going to be offended. But if you want to stay, please stay. So either way, I just want to give as much. So the simulation here, I'm going to use, I've learned this term called pedagogy, whatever you call it. This came from the educational arena where, you're telling a teacher asking the student whether him or her understood what she just taught. Similarly, you have to work with AI to just say, does AI understands what your student, in this case, what your supplier or what your buyer will get out of you, right? That's the role simulation here. So you always, there's a reason when we talk about act as X person, act as this person, is you need to understand why we do that. is because you are simulating a role. Because once you simulate a role, then it happens. But don't just simulate it as a proposal writer or a procurement person. Please also look into from the other side, like our policy commercial colleagues, procurement leaders, proposal experts. LLMs are not infallible. They also make mistakes, right? And they hallucinate. They also have their biases and tendencies, which means if you are using it to come out with something, always check from the user perspective, and do it. That's what we are planning to do now, which means, yes, I've got a great content, amazing. That's because you think it's amazing. But if you test it with the end user perspective, where does it go? Right? This is a new term that's that's going along, because I still, one of the CEO way back in August, not August, July. I think I've covered it in July webinar. The reason we launched the AI Writer course is because one of the CEO told me, I think my bid team is all going to cheat now on the Vaska, because it's like, I don't know what cheating means, but in the academic circle, there is a term for this. It's called the easy mills. So it's very, very interesting. Easy mills. So again, what we are doing here is cheating. Again, it's a broad question. How do you define cheating? Are we hurting anybody, or are we lying, or no? I mean, like it's what we are doing here is, we are, as the educators are doing to reduce our work, we are doing our work to stress test what we are doing to create compelling proposals, or to evaluate compelling proposals in a way. That's it. So what you're going to find here is, our mission is to enable you to do this. There is an increasing number of professions that are integrating AI, right? That's what we're talking about. Whether you like it or not, your industry is integrating. Your company is going to integrate. You are going to integrate. So our responsibility here is to teach you and the professionals how to use these tools, because it will be crucial for you. And I strongly recommend you go back and read this. I will add, I don't know. Okay, let me stop the screen share, whether it works. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, fine. Go back and search for this tool, Fighting Reviewer Fatigue and Amplifying Bias. It's an article, very, very interesting article, especially if you are a buyer, or if you are somebody who reviews somebody else's proposals. This is going to be very, very useful for you, because this is based on hundreds of research done on peer reviews done in the education sector. Because I don't think anybody within our industry has done it. I don't think they'll ever do, unless we do ourselves. But this is very important, because you could definitely learn from this, which is how can you fight the reviewer's fatigue and or amplify the bias? It's very, very interesting. Go back and check. It's from university, and you can get some interesting insights on this. So the bidder bootcamp students, you might be familiar with this already, but for others, especially our buyer friends, the very first thing that I strongly recommend you to do that is, you just need to understand the scoring criteria that you are going to put forward to your end customer. You just need to first say whether AI understands it. If AI doesn't understand it, your end user will not understand it. So don't even put that forward. It's very, very, so if in this case, 0 is this, less than adequate here, and that this is actually from a live tender. Right. And I'm just going back and asking, the provider is doing all this inadequate. So as you can see here, I've never seen any tender document that actually tell me what's basic requirement is, right? Fulfill all of the basic. What is high standard? What is exceptionally high standard, right? Don't keep your evaluation subjective anymore, because I know the same response that we have written for 4 different buyers have scored 4 different values. And now I'm puzzled, why is it different? Because it's humans who are reading it. But, and for them, what good looks like is different, right? But before we even put forward a scoring criteria, understands and remove any fluffy elements and make it absolutely clear. Why? Because if we do it absolutely clear, and if you are using evaluations using AI, it's going to get you some very, very amazing results for you. If you come out with very fluffy guidance, then it's going to come out with fluffy guidance, right? So in this case, you also find a lot of formulas that comes up with any tenders, especially in the tenders that we work with the government sector. You always find, okay, this question multiplied by that question into social value, into net zero, multiplied by pricing gets you X value, you know? And I'm like, all right, so what do I do now? It's like, the very first thing, in the past, I need to sit down with my commercial team to read, can you actually explain this to me in simple terms? So it's like, Pascal, your price should be cheap, right? Anything else, whatever you write, doesn't matter. Your price should be cheap. And if your price is cheap, then they will read your proposal. Then when they read your proposal, if your response is okay, then you will be scored accordingly. It's as simple as that. Okay. So you just go back and do it, right? So it's, I know I've been going to the extreme here, but in many cases, that's what happens. So when you're coming with the formulas and stuff, the explanations are getting better, but it's important for you to come back. This is what, when we work with buyers, recently we are working with more and more buyers, not just suppliers. And it's like, how can we simplify this, make it easy, especially SMEs? They don't have a clue about this, and we can do it. The next one is, this is for the proposal reviewer. Primarily, you just, this is the question that I received, this is the response that I have, act as an editor, because in this case, the editor comes with different roles, and what do I need from there? Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. So you can see, primarily, it just comes back and tells you, okay, you need to define what you mean by editor, what do you mean by reviewer, and what, I've removed all the traditional pink review, black hat reviews, and all the stuff, different companies, different terminologies. So that's what you do. You need to define what that means to AI even before you ask it to do that on your behalf when you upload a document. Because when you say pink review, it depends on what pink review is, or when you do grammatical review, or when you do just a copy review, just to flipping it, it's different. So you just need to set the criteria very, very clearly. Otherwise, this is what happens. So in this case, I've just wrote it like, act as an editor, come back to it, and it comes back with something else. And I'm scratching my head and say, what exactly did you do for me? So then I went back and said, critically evaluate, the style, grammar, spelling, typos, content flow, consistency of the above response. In your case, I will, what exactly, because style is clear. Again, I just said this, but in your case, you can go back and ask, now identify where these where the responses are good, where these responses require improvements. It will also list for you, right? And then this is where the evaluation criteria comes in. Never ever submit a proposal without using your customer's evaluation criteria in your tender. You know what? It's better to be AI, have a clearance from the AI before you submit it, than actually you just say, I'm not going to use AI, and I'm going to be data, etc., etc. It's okay. So things are moved far away, and you just need to do what's right. If you win a $10 million tender, or if you choose a right supplier who's absolutely the right company to work on it, that's amazing, right? So if you go back again, this is the same thing. In this case, you just go back and give, okay, I've received the response. I'll tell you a little bit. I know I'm overrunning here because October, I know I should have told to Jenny, October, I won't be around. I'm taking 3.5 weeks around Himalayas. I'm going for a Buddhist retreat for a 1.5 week meditation and stuff. I'm cleansing and I'm coming back. So that's the reason I'm giving you a lot more now. So please stay with me, because again, the October session won't happen on October mid. It will happen October 2nd, right? The next day I'll be flying, but you are going to get this October 2nd. I know it's nearing an hour. Some of you might be leaving. That's the reason. That's the reason, right? So if you're staying, please stay. It's going to take another 15, 20 minutes. Normally, we block 90 minutes anyway. So in this case, evaluation criteria, first thing is, again, as I mentioned, whether you're using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 100, 80, 50, 20, please be very clear. What do I mean by that? When you say all the details, marking, guidance, etc., it just comes in. So in this case, I'm asking what that meant. Then you can go back and then put the response document from your suppliers. Use one email thread, right? Go back and I'll tell you exactly how you do that next. But for now, just a generic response. Just go back, add the question, and when you add the question, add the response, and then you say, okay, this is the scoring criteria for this response. How much would you give, and explain why? So primarily, it just goes back and it tells you this is what happens, and it gives you the answer. right? So I haven't cleansed it, so it's okay. You know who the buyer is, who the supplier is. That's perfect. That's okay. So primarily, you are then asking again. This is you being the reviewer. You're just asking, okay, you scored me 80. How do I score 100? It just tells you may need to add this points again. You need to make it learn. That's why Claude is actually very good, because it takes a lot more content. Because when we originally started our March boot camp, I was telling people you have to do slice by slice. When you do that long way, your response from ChatGPT 4 will be amazing, because you're slicing and dicing every single response. Yes, it's going to take 2 hours, 3 hours of your time. But any response you get after that will be absolutely amazing, because we wrote an 80 response questions in 4 days. Absolutely specific, and we nailed it, right? So that's where it comes in. So it's very important. Please do. Thank you. So then you come back and check what you do. It is same thing here. What's the scoring criteria? You just ask why not 5 and you do it. But again, then you go back and rewrite what you need to do. Right. The point here is this: it's crucial that you adjust your prompts if you upload accompanying files, because it does forget these files, right? Example, if you're supplying the LLM with the tender response assignment that suppliers have completed before, the next stage of procurement planning, you need to tell the LLM why it is relevant. You need to tell the people, okay, I am in this stage of procurement, and this is the reason why I'm coming with this. And this is going to be the next stage. You might think, yeah, you don't need to do specifically on this. Believe me, it's super important, right? Especially from the buyer perspective. So Claude does upload facility, whereas other tools, as you know, ChatGPT, etc., you can't specifically have an attachment. But if you use ChatDoc or ChatPDF and few other tools, you can actually do. You can even connect a website and you can just play with it, right? So playing with PDFs, again, some documents are Word, which is easy, but some documents are PDF. Again, be aware of that as well. Again, I've given a few instructions on this, right? So please do go. And end of the day, it's an iterative process. And again, some of the buyer friends who joined today or who will be watching it, please be patient, because the iterative process, this is what you do. You open a new chat for each response that you're reviewing, label each chat with a date and a question name, and then you add the response of the individual suppliers. Okay, this is what you got. One supplier score, second supplier score, third supplier score. Then you just go back at the very bottom and say, okay, now summarize what's the individual scores for each of those suppliers for this particular section, for this particular question it just comes up with, right? Go to the next one. Go to the next question, next thing. So it's been at a summary of every chat. You have the absolute score of each of the things. Then you go back, because why? If you are a reviewer, then you can use those individual questions, responses at the bottom. Then you could iterate it. Did I get only 80 out of 100? Let me go and improve it, right? As if an internal review can do it, but for a buyer, it helps you to go on that. But Bard is going to be a tough gig for you. It's going to be a tough gig. So primarily that's it. So either way, the another angle for doing that is what a student would think of a proposal. In this case, who's the student? Your supplier, right? In another angle revision is being look at this is the response. What will be the, this is what I already told you. If you're coming out with any tender document, please do think from the supplier's angle, from the SME's angle, and then test it. Then you can do. Today you have a companion in AI that you can start to do it. Because if you can note those suppliers, think what are the feedback questions that you're receiving from them and use AI to update it, you can do a much better job, right? So what's happening in the AI scene at the moment? So primarily, there's not much alignment. There is very little collaboration, and most critically, there is zero trust, right? Accept it. I'm telling the fact that's what happened. Senior leadership is privately discussing how AI will transform the business, and employees are secretly using AI for their tasks. I do that, and I expect my team to do it, but my team doesn't do it, and I get frustrated all the time because I'm very proactive. I just want to use them, make your job easy, but that's not the case. But in your case, this is it. So what are we advising the leaders now? If you are a leader or if you work with many companies as an advisor, you can take this with you. Number one is you have to create, as I told you, the 3 steps. Remember, you need to first learn and train. Second, you need to share and collaborate, right? So learn and train, we are here, you have the resources, or you go and help yourself work with AI and you do what it takes. Then within your company, you just need to start to create a forum where, you know what, hey, this is how I am using AI, and I'm creating a prompt library, or I'm doing something interesting. Yes. So thank you, Gerardo. Sorry, I'm overrunning today. So next one is within your company, you have to run a hackathon. We originally planned to do it public, but again, we don't have the bandwidth to just do it at the moment. So again, within your company, if you are going to implement AI tools and solutions, it's like start from the use cases rather than somebody tell you this LLM is great. Your IT director comes and tells your marketing director, sales director, somebody goes, hey, we have to use the Salesforce's new sales AI tool. It's amazing. It's like, okay, but who is going to use it? That's the thing which we say. You need to start with the process. We say organize an event internally, brainstorm. What do you do? Next, let your team submit it. Most importantly, if ChatGPT plus $20 is going to be very common for people, anyway, they're going to do it, whether they use ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or any tool, Midjourney, Adobe Firefly is free anyway, so, or Designs.ai, or any tools, any little subscriptions, just ask them, hey, what's the tool that you're using? Okay, ensure these are the security guidelines, and then you refund it. $20 a month means if they could do a lot more, they could do a lot more, right? And what happens is, again, I'm telling you some of the basics, but again, this is not going to happen immediately, but I'm just telling you where the journey within the company is going to go. The hard truth is, if a team is already not using AI, you're probably falling behind. So these are some of the news that on Duet AI. Duet AI. Duet AI is a competitor to Copilot. Is a competitor to Copilot. So if you haven't used it, it's there, but we don't recommend it. So it's, for now, the $30 is better spent on your office entertainment or your foreign well-being. Go for a yoga class or something else. So it's ideally it's the same. What they're trying to do here is the same. You take the doc sheets, Meet, Slides, Gmail, etc., and you connect everything to do something. It's not. So if you don't know, US Copyright Office is actually asking for copyright in AI. If you have any opinion, you can share that. Meta is coming out with their own GPT-4. That's also coming up. And again, if AI data governance, you need to answer these four, 5 questions. If you're not, we are there for the AI data governance workshop. That's it. With all these things you need to be familiar with. As I mentioned, I was there in Y Combinator, which is a startup-y thing, and the tools are becoming automating a person. It's like software for financial analyst. This is this is interesting because this company is another LLM, which is like, hey, you know what? You don't need to rely on others. We'll take your data, we'll put it in, and then we create your own instance within your own company securely. That's it. That's a good one. That's what we do as well. But they are just doing that. And then Landgok is a German company, obviously German precision and governance of everything. They are saying, hey, none of the bigger companies are AI compliant. But what they're saying here is, we are AI compliant, so we could work with your team to make your ChatGPT AI compliant, and this is what we do. And that's your Landgok. Have a look at them. Very new company. Water AI is new. I tried it, and even though they don't do what they claim, but these are beta. These are all beta because these are all a beta version that comes out. Anything that's related to document, copy, etc., you need to be very, very curious on. AI graphics workshop, I'm just giving some of the tools that we are experimenting as we speak. Midjourney, you should know. Adobe Firefly is free. People are asking, hey, I need to add text to my proposal. We are using Adobe Firefly, Adobe Express for our proposal covers, back and front at the moment. Use it, Microsoft Designer. And not many people know this exists. It's based on DALL-E, the OpenAI's tool. Just go and have a look. Also, very, very simple compared to use with Adobe Firefly. Unfortunately, it relies on DALL-E, which is not a great AI image tool. So I wish Adobe Firefly is as friendly as Microsoft Designer, and Microsoft Designer is the images are as good as Midjourney. Then it will be absolutely amazing. Microsoft tools will be great. Canva, Canva, you can use Canva Create, AI based. Designs.ai is very, very cool tool. I just came across this 2-3 weeks ago, and it's very good. Engage I am doing it. When I say I am using it. I'm still begging my team, but no, it's not. But it's there. Engage, very, very true. My final point is the community is growing. We don't make anything. So if you only join us for the boot camps or training programs, we make it. Rest of us, it's all free. It's all democratizing. So continue. All I want you to do is just embrace AI and to do what you have to do. Podcasts are still there. As you know, we are continuing to add stories on both sides, and both AI stories and also proposal stories. We want to have use cases. I was actually a bit disappointed with your user stories because we didn't get much user stories because we had a cash price of $500. We want to point out 8 or 10 leaders who have used use cases to just bring them and then have our own half-a-day workshop that say, you know what, nothing clucky, and say, this is how I use AI to review a proposal, to write a proposal, to do X, Y, Z. And people can take tips and go. I just want those user journeys shared to those peoples so people can do it. If at all I run my user conference, AI conference, that will how I position, much more as not tips and hacks and stuff. It's real user journey, right? That's it. These recordings are there. This is what I talked about. Anybody who came in, you could be invited for one-day workshop, and you could also do that. But unfortunately, and many of you are going back. That's why I just need to give a course correction on survivors, because some of you are going back to become a survivor rather than the explorer. So I know we can't help everybody, but I just try my best on this. So APMP training is back. It's there for anybody who's interested. It's just there. Nothing happened. They all went quiet, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm a barrister and lawyer. Are so curious because now they got an amazing case to rip these guys apart. But we have made of a case, and let them be themselves. We'll be ourselves. That's where we landed. But the nitty-gritty details will be announced behind after I come back. So 2 leaders at the Rugby World Cup. This is what I talk. One, obviously, this is what your leaders are thinking at the moment. Number one is honest conversations. He's worried about changes in AI is bringing, but he do not have the time to address AI's roles in his market to propel growth. This is a leader, a real leader. The second one is another leader, and who's very, very curious, like you and me, have a lot of ideas to do it, and him or her is working with the team to implement. Hey, what are the use cases? What can we do? Remember, your employees, you need to ask for help within your employees. If you tell, hey guys, here we go, it's $100,000, $10,000. Let's go back and find all the use cases within our company where AI could be optimized. What can we do with it? And that's it. On our side, the one-to-one consulting is happening as we speak. We are helping both procurement leaders and bidders to create their own AI optimized process, not just churn bits, but just to go slightly bigger on that, because your own what we call process consulting is dead. It's the AI process consulting now, and there are more people who are still looking at the 72 steps or 96 steps, etc. Good luck to you. So the learning community is also going to be slightly changing. If you're not part of baachu.circle.so, please do be part of, because we are going to have 2-tier learning community. One is anybody who can come back, but I don't want you to come and do chit chat. So just specifically share your stories and what's working, what's not working within. That just stays there, not just talk. We don't want there are enough communities for that sort of chit chats. But just like, hey, I've done this. I need help here. I've done this. It's working. This is what I want you to do. All usable, actionable stuff. That's what you're going for, because we will be nominating 1 or 2 of you to come out and do some bigger stuff. And then comes this one where this stays as it is, but the second part is we are going to come out with, as you know, the 21 AI tools will be a big one. But after that, we'll be coming out with some in-depth AI-specific guides, plug-and-play teaching templates, and database of resources. You already have a lot, but it's all been done in a specific format. We'll just see how we can comprise it. So if you haven't done, optimize your thing. If you haven't joined the programs, say hello and join the programs. That's what I want to share. Summer workshops are here. And most importantly, this is where I will be for October. For some of you, I know I'll be missing you. So I'm trekking around the Himalayas. I just need that... yes, it's recorded, but yeah, it's a friendly community anyway. I just need a break, so I'm leaving on the October the 3rd, and I'm coming back on the 26th, just 3 weeks. and then going to see my mom for a week in Coimbatore, and then I head back. So after that, we'll make some big announcements, and we'll do it because we are raising funding, or we already raised 2.3 million. So what that meant is the company is moving from lifestyle into performance. So I need to be in the right headspace to drive a new type of company going forward, especially with all the stuff that's been happening this year, which is totally unwanted. So when I come back, you will all be continuing to do it. But what that meant is this. Our October 12th will now be, thank you, Angie. Our October 12th will now be October 2nd. Right, I'll amend the invite in the team, and we could join, and we'll also continue. So again, I just want, as I mentioned, I want more and more of your user stories, where it's working, where it's not working, and then keep the thing moving, because you know what, your curiosity will be a blessing for so many people, and I don't want it to be just me or my team, because you are a thriving explorers yourself, and at some point I just want to step back and make you go forward and then take these things. No, that's about it. Thank you as always, and most importantly, thank you for your support, and AI is here to stay, and I'll see you at Connect, or otherwise I'll see you next time, October the 2nd. So until then, take care. Lots of love to you and your family. I'll speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye.